В 2015 году я находился в состоянии некоторой депрессии, тупик жизненный, не знал, куда, в общем-то, идти дальше. Но позвонил мой товарищ и сказал мне, что в России появилась вот такая вот структура военизированная. Я увидел в этом шанс для того, чтобы начать жизнь заново и применить свои навыки и знания в военном деле.
In 2015, Russia intervened in the Syrian civil war, and Wagner was used to protect energy resources for the Assad regime. It was the beginning of a new business model for the group.
And in return, they get a share of the natural resources, the looting of the country.
It was a pivotal role in a conflict that put one of Russia's most important allies at risk.
Первая задача Сирии была это спасти вообще режим Башара Асада. Наша задача была участие в этих войне против сил, которые грозили этому режиму коллапсом.
That meant Wagner and the Russian military fought against any combination of US-backed rebels, Kurdish forces, and ISIS. Wagner employed its fighters in Syria through a company called Evropolis. Evropolis was also the company the Syrian government hired to protect its oil fields.
Мы подписывали контракт с ООО «Европолис». На тот момент действовала такая тарификация. За месяц пребывания в учебном центре 80 тысяч рублей рядовому составу. В Сирии, если боец находится в зоне ведения боевых действий, то в сутки ему закрывается 8 тысяч рублей, то есть в месяц получается 240 тысяч рублей.
Ultimately, these shell companies that are paying the salaries of Wagner Group fighters, they're nothing more than that. They're just paper pass-throughs that allow Russia to manage money and men and make sure that there are no prying eyes in the deals.
Oil was particularly lucrative for Wagner in Syria. Evropolis's contract with the Syrian government shows that for every oil field it captured, it got 25% of production.
25% of the natural resources, the energy resources that were able to be exploited. An incredible amount for a company far afield in Russia.
By 2017, Wagner captured at least 4 of the country's largest oil and gas fields, which earned the group tens of millions of dollars per year from each field.
Make sure that you secure the oil and gas, get it before the Americans get it, or get it before the Kurds get it, but get there. That was the objective.
Al-Shair gas field in Homs is one of the largest in Syria. In 2017, Wagner worked with the Syrian military to defend it from ISIS. Many of the Syrian troops had been forced into service by the Assad regime. During a battle with ISIS, some of those Syrian fighters tried to escape. Wagner found one of them and decided to make an example of him. His name was Mohammed Ismail.
أخي ما كان بده يحارب، قال راح أحرب، رحنا مثلا أبوي راح دور عليه مشى في مسجون ما لقى له أي أثر. لما شفنا يعني المقاطع لآخر شيء صدقنا إنه خلاص أخوي توفى.
Wagner fighters filmed themselves as they tortured, killed, and mutilated Mohammed Ismail.
We see kind of this impulse toward memorializing, terrorizing incidents. This helps with the kind of psychological effects. Don't mess with us. We're coming. And when we come, be prepared.
صرت خاف منهم إنه يصير معي مثل ما صار مع أخي. بعيش يعني متخفف خايف على حالي يعني.
In 2018, Wagner forces attempted to capture the Conoco gas plant in Qashm from US-backed rebel forces.
Мне поставлена была задача, управляя действиями роты сирийцев, захватить 2 опорных пункта по левому флангу общей полосы наступления. Это там возле дороги, которая идет от Кшама на сам завод Коника.
There was already kind of a lot of tension leading up to the Battle of Qashm. And then when the Russian regular forces couldn't give the Americans an answer, a satisfactory answer, as to who was down there doing that fighting, creeping toward the Conoco gas plant, well, it was kind of all bets off. The U.S. military sent up a whole bunch of air cover, and it was an absolute bombardment.
Все, мы уже там практически спасали жизни свои. Просто не думали ни о какой уже войне. Просто отходили, понесли колоссальные потери.
Even though Wagner lost the fight for the Conoco gas plant, they still served a very important purpose, taking heavy losses that the Russian military couldn't.
You can't count what you can't see, and you can't count what you don't know.
One of my duties was to actually fly on board of transport aircrafts. Russian military aircrafts were filled with bodies of killed in action operators from Wagner Group. What I witnessed being at mission at Syria as an Air Force officer was this Wagner Group used all the resources of Russian official military. They used their military aviation, they used their logistic capabilities, they used their military bases.
By 2019, the Syrian government awarded several Wagner companies oil and gas drilling rights to about 10,000 square miles of land across the country. As recently as 2021, a Wagner company was awarded oil and gas drilling rights for 2,000 square miles of offshore territory.
Some would point to Syria as a pretty successful model of how business could be done. They went in, surreptitiously. They managed to grab back a lot of the important oil, gas, and mineral resources for the Syrian state and for Russia. And they did that, at minimal cost. Russia's found itself a very successful model, and it wanted to replicate it.